Hello there, and welcome to Android Weekly. And this week we're going to be going over topics from Android to other things that are going on in the mobile universe. Let's get started. First topic of the day is, of course, BlackBerry. They're still around. That's kind of surprising. Anyway, BlackBerry has a new developer phone out called Alpha B, which is running BlackBerry 10, which is their newest operating system that we've only seen a little bit about. The operating system doesn't look bad. It's more of just kind of what they did with the playbook and brought in a phone. That's basically the easiest way to kind of describe it, but they have done some tweaks to it. Other than that, its most notable cool feature about it is that it has an interesting gesture called peek, and it's basically up and to the right, and what that does is you get to have a peek into your connections, meaning your emails, your text messages, as well as your Facebook or LinkedIn accounts, messages or notifications. So it's pretty interesting. It's different. It's something that no one else has right now, and that was probably the most interesting thing about their entire OS and phone. The phone isn't too special. It has a good resolution. It has a micro USB slot and a mini HDMI, which is a little weird considering it's on a micro HDMI. Minis are a little bit bigger. They were only used on camcorders for a shorter period of time and computers, so it's weird to have that on there. Next topic. Google Maps and iOS. What's going on? Did they break up too soon? They still had a year left that people thought they were going to be together. What really happened? The truth is, iOS did drop Google Maps a year in advance before their contract was up. Now what this caused is the mess that they're now in called Apple Maps, which has not been the best quality. I do have a live demonstration navigation video on my Android 1.0 channel. If you haven't checked it out, please do. And it demonstrates the differences of them. The quote from the article that I'm reading was from Eric Schmidt. He was the ex-CEO of Google and still one of their current chairmen. And he was quoted as saying, "We think it would have been better if they had kept our maps." Just saying. He didn't actually say just saying. I kind of added that. Moving on. California is now the only state that allows driverless cars on public roads. If you haven't heard, Google developed cars that can drive on their own. So they were there and they were able to actually convince the governor with legislation that these cars would be allowed on the road. Now this is of course a historical thing to have driverless cars, so you wouldn't have to drive anymore. The car would drive you. This technology is a little intimidating, I would say they should definitely have an override, for manual if your car's ever on the fritz or anything like that. But I mean, it's definitely something that we've only seen in sci-fi movies that could actually become a reality. I mean, personally, I haven't seen my hoverboard. I haven't seen lightsabers. I haven't seen other things that sci-fi channels have promised me. So I'm happy to finally see one thing that these sci-fi movies have promised for a long time. All right, back to another rumor on Google Maps with iOS. It is months away from even becoming part of it again. So that if the Google Maps does once again create a map for Apple, it will most likely not be this year. So Apple Maps will retain by itself, and Apple will just kind of have to struggle it out with their maps at least for the remainder of the year. Now, if you did miss my breaking news announcement from last week, the Barnes & Noble Nooks, HD Nooks actually to be exact, were announced and are going to be released this month. So for a full in-depth review, please check out the breaking news on the Barnes & Noble Nook HDs. And you can kind of see what their specs are and how they're going to compare to the Kindles. We will have a side-by-side comparison again on Android 1.0. So make sure you check that out and see what which one really is the better e-reader tablet. It has been a big week for Google. Not only has their stock maintained at a higher trade than Apple since the iPhone 5 was released and the numbers did not show what Apple projected, as well as the Maps fiasco even causing the CEO of Apple to apologize for them. Google has actually maintained their stock higher than Apple throughout the entire time. But also, they are now the second largest tech company in the world, outgrowing Microsoft. Yes, Google has now outgrown Microsoft for their market cap. So that's pretty impressive that they are now bigger than Microsoft. So it's something that we definitely congratulate Google on. Congratulations, Google. Cheers. Next, the rumor. The phone that I am very, very, very excited for is the next Nexus. And the rumor is that within 30 days, we will have an announcement. So, will it be true? Let's see. And the other rumor is it will have Android 4.2. 4.2 is, of course, the nickname Key Lime Pie. Will it be Key Lime Pie? We're not sure. Maybe it'll just be an incremental upgrade that has no name. However, it's not usually like Google style. Now, this is 4.2 would not be a huge overhaul, such as gingerbread to ice cream sandwich, which was a huge difference. It would most likely be tweaks. Since Jelly Bean was performance, 4.2 would be a little bit of a UI change. Google is known for always doing one UI change, one performance change, one UI change, one performance change. So we would expect this one to be a UI change if it does come through. And of course the big rumor on the Nexus is that there's going to be more than one of them. Now it's almost a definite that there will be a Galaxy Nexus 2. However, what about LG? They're rumored to have an Optimus Nexus coming out, or Sony, an Xperia Nexus coming out. Of course we can't forget about HTC and Motorola, which originally the rumor was that there would be 5 Nexus phones on November 5th. So, we shall see and wait and see which Nexus is next to us. Another Jelly Bean leak for the Galaxy S3, this time going to Sprint, and only Sprint. Sprint has leaked their Jelly Bean for the Samsung Galaxy S3. Now, so this has also happened for T-Mobile's international version, so if you do have the GSM version, you could get it on T-Mobile's network and it'll work just fine with the HSPA Plus Galaxy S3, but this is the first LTE that has a Sprint version. So it's pretty impressive, and all you Sprint users out there, I would recommend going to XDA Developers website and finding the link so you can get your Jelly Bean on. And don't ever show it to me, because I would be really upset. Just saying. The iPhone 5. Apple is claiming you're taking the pictures wrong because you have a purple tint when there's a light around. And Apple is saying this is a normal behavior, that people are just taking pictures wrong. Even though no other camera does this or has this issue. This actually occurred when I was first taking pictures with the iPhone, that yes, if you do hold it close to a light, it's a purple light instead of a white or yellow light. It's a glitch on the camera, and we're not sure if it's a hardware issue or a software issue. So we're not sure if Apple can fix it. Samsung, on the trial front. 2 things happened with the Samsung trial this week in Apple. One was that the judge lifted the ban on the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. Considering that Tab 10.1 isn't really at many retailers anyway, it's mostly only at resellers, it wasn't that big of a deal. Samsung has 2 other tablets out right now that are much newer and better compared to the original that outsells it. So, you know, the only cool thing is that Samsung's going to get about $3 million from Apple for the ban being a temporary ban. The other thing that Samsung did is they added the iPhone 5 towards the patent lawsuits that they have Apple violating. However, the important thing to note is how long these trials take. Samsung suing Apple will not come up till 2014, a little bit away to say the least. So just to give you an idea of how long these trials can take, it can take a pretty long time. The iPhone 5 was added, as well as the iPad tablets, as well as the iPod touches. So we'll see how those trials turn out. October 11th could be another day for Samsung, as they might be announcing their Galaxy S3 Mini. Now this phone was rumored to come out, and its main competition would be the iPhone 4S. It would be a 4-inch screen with HD resolution, so pretty impressive, and it will have a 5 megapixel instead of an 8. And it will be priced right to sell. So it should look like a smaller version of the S3, but we will find out October 11th what it really is and how it will be represented and where. The latest comm scores are up for the US market, and Samsung and Google still reign supreme, with no competition in sight really. Google is now at 52% of the US market, whereas Apple has about 34%. So definitely the two dominating markets, but Google does reign supreme almost, not exactly double, but getting close to it. Samsung has no competition in the smartphone realm, as 25% of the market now belongs to them. So 1 out of every 4 devices is a Samsung in terms of smartphones that are sold in the US. Apple is still gained a little traction, but not too much. It's at 17%. So a little less than about 1 out of 6 iPhones are going to be sold in the US right now as compared to Samsung. Metro PCS has talks again of possibly being bought out by T-Mobile. Will this happen? The truth is, everyone wants Metro PCS for one reason and one reason only: their LTE towers. Sprint wants them, T-Mobile wants them, AT&T wants them. They want more LTE towers, and Metro PCS has them. It will be bought out eventually, but by whom and at what price is more the determining factor. And finally, to end the day, HTC launched 2 new phones, the One X Plus as well as the One VX. The One VX is the US exclusive, the One X Plus is an international phone. It's supposed to be coming out for AT&T in the US exclusively, and the One X Plus has a Tegra 3 processor with a 1.7 gigahertz. So that is most reminiscent of the Asus Infinity Pad processor, almost identical to it. Still with 1 gig of RAM, which is a little disappointing. At this point, I would expect a 2 gig of RAM model, but that is not what they are delivering here. Now, it will be the first HTC with Jelly Bean. HTC has not had a Jelly Bean device out yet, and that is going to be their first one. The most impressive thing about this phone is not its 4.7-inch screen or its HD resolution, because we've seen that before. It does have a better battery life for the 2100 millihertz, which is the same as the Galaxy S3, and making it the biggest battery HTC has come out with. But its most impressive feat is definitely 64 gigs of storage built in. So definitely more storage than any HTC has ever had. We will see if it measures up. And finally, ending it, the HTC One VX is more of a budget phone coming out for AT&T, which will be a 4.5-inch screen, QHD, so not 720p, a little bit less, and it has the typical Snapdragon processor. The main problem with this one is it has only 8 gigs built-in memory, so not a lot, but again, it's supposed to be a mid-range. It will have Jelly Bean though as well, or not on launch this one, but it will have it after. That has been all of the news from Android Weekly. So guys, any phones that you're really interested or excited about getting, feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'll talk about it on one of the next segments. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.